Okay, so I just want to make sure again, did the slide move? Good. Okay. These are a few stats about the current state of affairs for women in the online. And this is something that we have been sharing lately since the She Transforms Tech campaign started, which is women have faced a disadvantage in terms of access to the internet, having digital abilities, but also it has to do a lot with the fact that there are not many women as developers or creators or leaders within the technology sector. However, something that we have not talked about much is about the security. Like, we do have an issue. All human rights defenders, advocates, women's rights defenders, grassroots leaders face risks. And so that's why this is crucial. And so, of course, the most important thing is to first keep ourselves protected first. If we are not protected and if we are not safe first, then it's impossible to protect our community or our loved ones in the internet realm and sphere. So the first thing to take into consideration is to protect your own space. So it has to do with what you post, what kind of information you share. So it's just about, always think about what you post. Verify if it's not fake news, or if it's not something inflammatory, or something that can put yourself at risk, like personal information. And also, in a more practical sense, it's important to change your security and privacy settings on every app and platform you can think of. Everyone, all of them have a lot of different levels of privacy and security. So just like check all the boxes pretty much. And one of those options is the two-factor authentication. So WhatsApp has it, Gmail has it, Hotmail has it, Facebook has it, Twitter. So this is very important, and you can actually, in some of these platforms, you can choose whether your mobile number is going to be the second step for verifying, or your email, or you will also have an option of adding a second email in case one gets hacked or someone gets a hold of your password, for example. And then this is something that's very common, and I must confess that up until recently I did that a lot. I used the same password for everything I had online because it is easier to remember, but that's not a good thing to do. And anyone that is an expert on the digital security will say you're wrong. And actually, I mean, the first recommendation is to use different passwords for each of these apps and platforms, but I think that is highly recommended is using a password manager. You just can Google it and choose whatever is best for you, because some of them are quite pricey. Some of them are for free. So just check out what's out there, and just it's so great because it actually, you actually don't have to memorize any of your passwords. There's just like one master password that's practically impossible to hack. So that is a great recommendation. And of course, the obvious one, do not share your password with anyone. On this, I won't go too deep into this because this is something that you will get on the presentation when we share it with you. It's just, this is a link to a frontline defenders like Toolkit with specific recommendations and tactics to keep safe online. Yeah, so I will just go to the next slide. And some other tools that might be extra helpful are, just a second because I moved something on my screen. So it's something that's recommended is using messaging apps that are not Facebook. So WhatsApp, Signal, or Telegram are great options, but we will talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, because all of them have nuances, and it's it's good to know these details and these nuances for whatever, depending on your context, on your risk situation. But yeah, we will get into that in a minute. But the important thing to know about these messaging apps compared to Facebook messaging app is the end-to-end encryption. So because this makes sure that if you are being surveilled, for instance, so this is very kind of tricky to explain, but an end-to-end encryption means that while the message is being sent, it's coded. So any external observer will not know what the message content is about. And the message is decoded once it hits the recipient. And also a very highly recommended thing to do is using a VPN. You can also check that, Google it, and just figure out what's best for you. Some of them are pricey, some of them are for free. I have to confess, I just had to download my own for my cell phone, because, and this is something that I wanted to share with you. Do not feel guilty if you get hacked, if something happens to you, if your safety is compromised, because anyone can fall into scams, anyone can fall into a tricky link. It's normal. It's important to be aware of the different risks there are, and then take measures to tackle those risks. So I do have to confess that I did that. I clicked on a link I should not have, and I freaked out, and I contacted a friend that's an expert on online security, and she recommended to download a VPN, and now I'm super protected. Anyway, once we are sure that we are safe online and that we are protected, then we are ready to help others. So it's important, there are very specific tactics about protecting your community and your surroundings when security is breached. And we can have another training some other time about that with the specifics. For example, what to do on the tactics to protect children and girls, for example. For now, I'll just say don't let them use TikTok. That's all I have to say for now, but we can talk about it some other time. But meanwhile, it is important, and this is something that I know you know, because you're digital ambassadors and because you're encouragers and you know how a community works. But it is important to just have in mind that whatever you do offline, just do it online. When you see someone being attacked, when you witness someone being bullied, you intervene, you say something. I know you are advocates and activists, and I know you're the kind of people that will raise your voice. And it's the same thing when you in the online realm. So it's important to report, to speak up, to block the people perpetuating online abuse, and tell someone about it, and also replicate what you know. Share all these tips. Share with all your contacts and with your community anything you know about keeping safe online, and just don't be a silent bystander. However, I repeat, I do know you're not silent bystanders. So it's just about understanding that the online and the offline at some point is the same thing, really. I just wanted to show you this slide, and this is something that you will get as well. This is just additional tools and tactics and ideas to keep safe yourself and others, how to avoid gender-based violence, but online as well, and Take Back the Tech, which are amazing partners of ours, are great for this. They have really great tools, so I just invite you to check them out once you get the presentation. And of course, what to do if you get hacked. As I said, don't freak out and don't feel guilty. Just follow some simple steps, validate your security and your privacy settings, change passwords immediately of everything. If you download the VPN app, they can tell you when your security has been breached and exactly which passwords have been compromised. So that's why it's a really good idea to have different apps to just to monitor your computer and your phone. Just try to identify what data was exposed. Inform your connections. Of course, something I had to do when I recently clicked on the dodgy link, I had to tweet, like, if you get a private message inviting you to click on this link, it's because I was hacked. So it's important, because otherwise people will lose trust in you. So it's important to just notify that something has happened and to not freak out if they get something from you that seems dodgy. And yeah, so here we have another link that will help you check if any password of yours has been leaked. So just check it out, and when you get the list, you can get a list of like, I had a couple of breached passwords, and so I just changed it, and I added the two-step verification, and that was it. So nothing bad happens as long as you keep track of everything, and you have a VPN, and you check anything that has been breached or your security has been hacked somehow. That being said, I will shift now to the mobile side of things. So while this conversation is about mobile, I'll mostly focus on WhatsApp because it is one of the most ubiquitous and most used apps in the world. I mean, it is great for mobilizing. I'm a huge fan of WhatsApp. I know you are too. Everyone is there. That's the truth. But there are a lot of questions regarding whether WhatsApp is safe, especially for human rights defenders, advocates, activists. So is WhatsApp safe? Well, there is no simple answer. But for now, I'll just say that relatively. Because it is owned by Facebook, this means that on the technical aspect of it, they have great technological infrastructure that can protect users from, for example, digital attacks. And also, as I mentioned before, they use end-to-end encryption. But what does this mean? Is that it protects information when it travels through the internet. It is coded. And also, WhatsApp's encryption is based on signals. And some of you might know that Signal is one of the most used and secure apps used by activists. It means that it is a highly secure messaging app. And I will give you an example on the safety of the level of safety of encryption. Some people recommend going offline for activism and sensitive topics, like never talk about anything online about sensitive issues or data. For example, some people think that you must make a normal call when talking about these sensitive issues, but not on WhatsApp. However, in high-risk contexts where a phone can be tapped, it's actually best to do the calls via WhatsApp because of its encryption. So all online security experts will call you on WhatsApp and not on Zoom, not on the phone. They just call you on WhatsApp. So long story short, in the technical and technological sense, it is safe. But where are the risks? The risks rely on the privacy side of things, and so we have to make a distinction between safety and privacy. The concerns are about privacy of the data and how it can be used. And also, risks also rely on the political and social context, but also on our own habits as users. Which is why it's important to have the two-step verifications and not repeat the passwords and just like keep checking everything that we do online. I will talk first of the several risks we have on WhatsApp and the mobile side of things, and then the how to tackle those risks. So the first threat has to do with the context. Say, if your country is not safe for activists or activists are being targeted, encryption of the message doesn't prevent authorities from accessing your chat history and contacts if they have access to your device. So in case someone is arrested, I mean, they can get a hold of all the information that is saved on the device. So like, yes, of course it's encrypted as long as no one takes your phone. Another risk is it has to do again with the fact that Facebook owns WhatsApp, and this entails privacy concerns because they can provide authority-specific information such as your name, the first time you use the service, your IP address. They can geolocate you. They can share your email, blocked phone numbers, your profile, your photos, your information, or your groups, your contact list. You can imagine it can be bad in countries where, for example, it's mandatory to register your SIM card data. So share on the chat if you live in such a context. I mean, in Mexico, where I'm based, that's not a thing. You don't have to register anything other than the mobile company, but there are countries where there have certain laws that will help the government to get a hold of people's data. So another threat, especially in high-risk countries for activism, is digital deception or phishing. So phishing is a deception method through identity impersonation with the intention of either stealing information or infecting your device with a virus. And phishing can be either general or targeted. So targeted phishing is just aimed at a specific person or group because of the work and the issues they work on. For example, I don't know if you have heard of the Pegasus scandal in India and in Mexico. So Pegasus is a private spyware company that is being hired by governments and private interests to target activists via phishing. And so there was a huge scandal here in Mexico where activists got an SMS. It's something that was very relatable and very easy to fall into, you know, like, oh, this is your uncle Bob, and I'm in the hospital. Can you, like, if you, I don't know, this is the link to the Google map where I'm located, so you can come help me. And then you click on the link, and they get a hold of your information. So this was a huge scandal over here. This is like the first picture is about the scandal, but in India. And the non-targeting phishing, or the general one, means that it's not aimed at a specific person or activist because of the work they do, but it is for hackers to get a hold of, for example, your financial information, to get access to your bank account or other sensitive info. So anyone can fall into this. And these are a couple of examples. These are real life examples that happen in Latin America. The first one, the one in the middle, it's a WhatsApp notification saying that there's a free flight ticket giveaway. Who doesn't want a flight ticket giveaway? And once you click on the link, your device can be infected with a virus, or you can access your information stored on the device. And the second one, the one on the right, is a notification saying that you have one free coupon for Adidas products. Who doesn't want free products? So it's very easy to fall into that. And so, how to reduce those risks. First, as I said, it's about our habits that we as WhatsApp and mobile users can work on to increase protection. And as individual users, you can set your, we have mentioned this, privacy settings for your profile. And if you don't set it up to be private, or you can set it up to, like, you can define the level of privacy. Some information can be only accessible to your contacts, but some of it doesn't have to be accessible to anyone. So you set up your profile. This includes your photo, your name, your email, your phone number, your status. And in case of WhatsApp groups or any other messaging app, it's important to set community rules where it clearly states what's allowed and not allowed to share, when they can add more people, how closed or private the group is. And this can be defined when you set the purpose of the group. And another thing, and this is crucial here because it relates to when you're in a very risky country or situation, and then someone gets a hold of your device or someone steals it, it's important to just delete messages and chats regularly. Like, this is like a healthy thing. If you take a shower every day, it's something you can compare that to. just clean up your pictures, clean up the chats, delete them. Just have in mind that in case messages or files that we have shared with other contain sensitive information, it is a good practice to ask the recipient to delete it too. Because what's the point of deleting and cleaning your own device and your own chats if others have access to that information? So just like if you shared something important, a password to access something, just ask the other person to also delete their chats. But the next question would be where to store those files. So, as I said, it's good practice to do regular backups of those deleted files. For example, your computer files, it's the same on your computer and on mobile. So the same goes for WhatsApp content. But ideally, only important files or information that you will still need after deleting and cleaning the chats. It doesn't make sense to just back up any silly picture that, that someone sent you. Of course, if you want to save a meme that because it's very funny, of course you can do it. It's just that we have to be very careful about what kind of information is worth. It's worth saving and backing up. So it's just about, you have to make the decision. Okay, so we're running low on time, but I will finish in a minute. You have to decide between a cloud-based, cloud-stored backup or a physical one. Just like bear in mind the possible risks of each. WhatsApp does have the option to do automatic backups, and you can control this. And about phishing, there are several recommendations. Verifying the contact it's coming from, verifying the messages that are visually similar to official WhatsApp messages, that like the one you see on the left. So WhatsApp doesn't do that. The only like yellow little message you get is the one on top that is announcing the encryption. Other than that, WhatsApp does never share something similar. And also check the links. The links are crucial here. For example, this is the free giveaway, and I mean, upon first sight, the link is normal, but it doesn't say adidas.com. It says corn instead of com. So just check on those tiny details, because these people are quite smart for that. And also just make sure that any click that you're clicking on, it's HTTPS. The S means that it's secure and it's safe to navigate in. And also use a different number from the one you registered on Facebook, and don't have Facebook or Instagram apps on the same phone as WhatsApp. I know that's a tricky one, but if there's a possibility to do that, just do it. And in very high risk places, it's very recommended to get a Faraday bag. It's the one in the picture, and it works as a shield that blocks your phone from EMF signals, protecting your location. So this is awesome for government surveillance. In Mexico, it was just revealed that we have around 50 fake antennas that are not from the government, from the state. It's just like fake antennas for surveillance. So I mean, it's being researched, but this has been a scandal of late. So I don't have time to like go through Signal and the comparative between Telegram, WhatsApp, and Signal, but you will get this presentation where you will see like all the differences and what it's good for and what it's not great for. I just wanted to say that I mean, this is a great resource, but the point is that whatever app you use, it is key to consider what information you share, how you share it, and who you share it with. It's about changing our digital habits to stay safe and take care of others. And finally, I just wanted to say that it's important to think of the digital environment sphere as an extension of our bodies and our communities. And this approach will help us create strategies and actions for daily digital care. It's part of our sanity. It is part of our mental health as well. And finally, I just wanted to invite you to keep sharing your stories. If you haven't taken the survey, the She Transforms Tech survey, take it. It only takes 10 minutes. We need to hear from your experiences in terms of how technology changed your life for the better, but also the challenges you face if you have been a subject of surveillance, or if you have been hacked, and did that have consequences or not. We just want to hear about all the wide array of experiences, recommendations, challenges you may have faced, or someone that you know, because the more diverse and robust the answers and the stories and the initiatives that you share, the better and the more robust the final report will be, and that report will be shared to global decision makers. Like, we really want to change the face of technology so it really works for women and girls. And so I'm sorry I talked for like 30 minutes instead of like the 10 I had planned, but I hope this was helpful.